Purnima passed away, not Makara Sakranti, because if you look at the technical thing, apparently there's 50 seconds per year difference, and someone did some research that 1,000 years ago, then this Makara Sakranti occurred in the end of December. And someone also did a calculation that at 9,000 it will be in June. So it won't necessarily be when the sun's travelling in the north. So it's Uttarayanas when the sun's travelling in the north. But it's a common misconception that it means Makara Sakranti. Also, on this particular day, there's other interesting things occur. Does anyone else know any other auspicious things that would happen on this day? Yeah, exactly. You're getting 2 out of 2 so far. Stand up, we took sannyas. And also, there's a certain place that bathe in India at this particular time. Of course, many people bathe in any holy river, but particularly there's a place where a lot of people go to at this particular day. Puri? Yeah, Puri can be there at any holy river, but particularly
she's in Ganga.
Ganga's there. There's another 2 rivers. Triveni, the confluence of the Ganges, Yamuna and Saraswati, the Kumbh Mela. So this is a auspicious time there. This is when that occurs. Of course, they have the Kumbh Mela, and then is every 12 years they have Mahakumbha, and they can have like 60 to 100 million people there. Can you imagine it? In Scotland, they can't have a music festival with 40,000, but they have to call the police. So many arrests and deaths and overdoses and things. But they have, they have a festival in India where there's a bigger population than is in the whole UK and no trouble. As long as you let the Shiva Babas bathe first, there's no trouble. So everybody knows to stay out of the way at that particular time and then go and take your snan. So the travelling in the south is called Dakshinayan. So that's that's considered to be the 6 months of darkness when the sun is travelling in the southern region or the lower planets. And of course, for devotees, there's always exceptions. So Krishna mentioned Bhagavad Gita, and Kali Chamam Eva, Smaram Mukva Kalevaram, Yaprayati Samad Bhavam, Yatinas Yatras Samshaya. And whoever at the end of their life quits the body, remembering me alone, attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So there's many verses in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that they will come to me. Can anyone mention one in Sanskrit or English? Evam yuvati tatvataha, tatvadiha panama. Exactly. Naiti mam iti sorjuna. Absolutely. Krishna says, so whoever remembers him at the time of death, so one who knows my janma and karma, my appearance and activities as being transcendental divyam. So you mentioned that one, janma karma chane divyam. He doesn't say just janma karma, he says divyam. Important. So one who knows this, who doesn't think that Krishna is the product of the material culture, that everything is some homogeneous oneness, and when the Godhead decides to display, then it takes on a form of the mode of goodness. This is some bogus philosophy being propagated. Krishna is an Adir. He's the origin of all. Brahmana hi pratistaham. He's the origin of Brahman. The Brahman is emanating from him, just as the sun rays are emanating from the sun planet. Then Brahma Jyoti is emanating from the personality of Godhead. It's his bodily effulgence. So, and this, each of these promises that Krishna makes to Arjuna is relevant for us, because Arjuna is already there. He's already Krishna's eternal associate. And he's such a surrendered soul that he'll allow himself to be put in difficulty to to comply with the will of the Lord, the plan of the Lord, which is to give this message. So in the beginning, this message was imparted to Son God Vivishwan, and the same message is being imparted again, and then we are also getting this message. And the other verses in Bhagavad Gita, like the one that Hoksha just quoted, you know, you just had too much prasadam, so you've got a little bit brain fog. Yep. In English. Cannot be burned by water, whether by the wind, etc. So this is testifying the eternal nature of the soul, particularly in relation to remembering Krishna at the end. So there's so many verses, and yeah, I think we just mentioned that one. So becoming free from attachment, fear, and anger, fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me. Many, many persons in the past became purified by this knowledge of me and attained transcendental love for me. So when you attain love for Krishna, then you don't come back to the material world, unless you're doing it because you're complying with the Lord's will. So this, so Krishna talks about the different conditions where one can pass away from this body favorably, and then other conditions where one is are not so favorable for passing away. So when we read this at first, you might think, well, how can I be assured that I'm going to not have an untimely death? And so we have some Charanamrita outside the temple. If you're worried about that, just take some Charanamrita and recite that verse. What does the verse say? I usually know it off by heart, but so it basically means that taking this Charanamrita removes the chance of dying untimely, which means we're purified, so it doesn't matter when we pass. So there's a little story in this regard, is that the sage was giving out blessings, and Ananda Vigraha, you might know the Sanskrit. So when the sage was giving out blessings to 4 different types of people, he's giving out the blessing to the brahmachari, and what was the blessing he gave? Yeah, die now, don't live. Do you remember the Sanskrit? Does anybody know Sanskrit for this one? Yeah, and so he said, because you're so well situated, better that you die now before you get entangled. Just die now, don't live. And then to the butcher, because he was in such a hellish situation, he was causing so much suffering, and he was going to get so much suffering. He says, neither live nor die. Because if you live now, you create more bad karma, and if you die, you have to suffer so much. He's in such a predicament. And then to the prince, he says, live to die. Because live means you're enjoying now, you're enjoying your senses, but when you die, you have some reactions to answer for. Because typically, both princes, they bend the rules a lot, right? And they think things don't apply to them. Just like sometimes we see in London, I've seen like recently there was one very expensive looking gold chrome car, very shiny, and everybody's stopping looking at it, and it's parked on a double yellow line, and they don't care because it's the ticket to them. You know, it's not even pocket change. They won't even go into their pocket to pay the fine. They don't even care. But somewhere, you know, along the line, it will catch up on them because they'll get their car lifted, get it impounded, and they won't be able to show off their nice car. Yeah, so similarly, you know, the prince may be enjoying now, but at the end, you know, somewhere he's going to have to pay the price for his transgressions. And to the devotee, the sage said, yeah, no, either, not neither, but either. For the butcher, it was neither live nor die. But for the devotee, it was either you live or you die. It doesn't matter. It's the same. Your attitude is the same. Your life is so auspicious. You're protected by Krishna. You're Krishna's devotee. So whether you live and whether you die, it doesn't matter because you're engaged in devotional service. And we see the acharyas, this is how they speak. So although this is certainly an auspicious time, and there are many auspicious times in the calendar, then when we become a devotee of Krishna, then everything is auspicious. And Rupa Goswami explains this in the Nectar of Devotion, that Krishna consciousness is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Sarvamangalam. So Krishna is known as Sarvamangala. Then as soon as we have any connection with Krishna, we invite auspiciousness. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada also, sometimes he would remind his disciples, don't forget I'm your good fortune. Because before, then they weren't going in a very good direction. There was an instance where two of Prabhupada's disciples, previously to meeting Prabhupada, were gangsters. And they weren't, like nice people you want to meet in a dark night, in a dark day. They were typical gangsters, but they saw the light and they became devotees. So when they were visiting India, they met one Jyoti who read the palms and did their charts, and he said, according to your chart, then you should be dead by now. Your reactions, your karma, your pap is so severe that you should be dead by now. He said, but there's somebody in your life which is holding this back, and whoever this is, don't give up the shelter of that person. So they showed them a picture of Prabhupada, and immediately says, yes, this person is about your good fortune. And that's also in our life. Krishna brings us good fortune, and we don't know if we leave the shelter of Krishna what may come of us. I remember back when we were joining the temple, Ash might remember a boy called Derek Lee. I think it was Derek Lee. And he was also amongst our group of friends. Many of them were considering to join the temple. He came to visit the temple, and he didn't take it too seriously. Decided, I won't bother to join the temple. Very shortly afterwards, we heard he was in a bike accident and he was paralysed from the neck down. I'm pretty sure that if he joined the temple, he wouldn't know what to start. He'd have had to give it up. And he would have been under the shelter protection of Krishna. Savadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja ham tvam savapapebhyo moksheshami masucha. So Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. I become a complete debauchee. Is that right? No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say give up religion and become degraded. He says, because Krishna is actually Dharma Svanusthita Punjam. He's the enunciator of all Dharma. So when Krishna says, never mind all these rules and regulations, just come to me personally. So you're going for a job, and you happen to bump into the physically, but maybe you meet the boss in the car park as you're going in for an interview. Perhaps you do some little favour and he says, oh, just mention my name. And then you don't need to do the interview, you don't need to go through all the whole rigmarole of promotion. Or if you're the friend of the son of the boss, it's like, okay, his name is Mark. He goes to the top promotion. He doesn't have to spend 15, 20 years getting up the ladder. So similarly with Krishna, in this material world, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Even sometimes someone who's more qualified for a job, they don't get it. Somebody else gets it because they know somebody, and they might be useless at it, but they know somebody. And that somebody, even though there's many complaints, like, oh, this person is terrible, etc., then the boss says, never you mind, you're getting sacked if you complain about that person again. So people don't even dare to complain because they... So similarly, Krishna, he overlooks the mistakes of his devotees. He's not seeing that, he's protecting his devotees. So in no variety of religion and surrender unto me directly. I protect you. So Krishna is Ajita, he's unconquerable. If Krishna says he's going to protect us, then who can be against us? Mare Krishna Rakiki, Raki Krishna Mariki. If we try to live in that, Krishna will test us to try to live in that consciousness. But Krishna will give the shelter also, if we continue to take that shelter. Just like the mood of the Kshatriya is that if someone commits an abominable act, like we've seen the personality of Kali, he was attacking the rule of Dharma. Maharaj Pariksit happened upon him, and he drew his sword and he was ready to execute him. But then the personality of Kali took shelter, and he says, "Okay, I will spare you, but you can only be present here and here." He didn't just unconditionally forgive him with all, access all areas. He says, "Okay, in Kali Yuga, you can go where there's gold and where there's other sinful activities." So this is the characteristics of Kali Yuga. So, regardless of what we've been through, then Krishna, he says, even if you're the most sinful of all sinners, so if we take shelter in him, then we're in the boat of transcendental knowledge, we'll cross over the ocean of ignorance. So, when we become a devotee of Krishna, then we can celebrate this Makara Sakranti and this, that, and the next thing, and that's all right. And we can make the Ketch, which is one of the things you offer on these days. You fly your kites and make the laddu with gore and sesame. And what else? How else to celebrate it? You have bullfights. I don't know if that's very Vedic. Bathing. Anything else to do on this day? Flying kite. So they celebrate in different ways and different dates as well. And that's fine. But if we become a devotee, we can celebrate these things if we like. Would anyone have preferred Kitchery for the feast today? We get Kitchery every day here. Poor man's feast fit for a king, that's what they call Kitchery. Kitchery is very good, it's got everything in it, and it helps control the senses, isn't it? But so we can do these things, but we don't do it forgetting Krishna. It's not that we do these things and do it in place of our devotional activities to Krishna. So, Mano, Avamad Bhakto, Maji Mam Namaskaru, Amevashisi Satyam Te Prati Janapriosame. So Krishna says, if you always think of me and become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, then surely you will come to me. So this is what we mentioned, Yam Yam Vapi Smaram Bhavam. At the end of this life, whatever we think of, that's what we'll attain. And there'll be nobody else around at that time to blame that we weren't Krishna conscious. We come into this world alone and we go out alone. And we have to take responsibility for how we use our time in this human form of life. As we go on in Krishna consciousness and we become more purified by this process of cleansing the mirror of the mind through the Harinam Sankirtan, then we begin to realize the value of human life that is meant for self-realization. And that means to become aware of what our true nature is and learn to detach yourself from this material world. So attach yourself to Krishna's service, to Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, hearing about Krishna, then automatically we detach from the material world. We don't have to make a separate endeavor. But we do have to let go as well. It's not that we can hang on to everything. Just like that example is given. I can't remember the full example, but somebody wanted to cross a river, but they had to leave so many things behind, and they could only cross the river if they left the thing behind. So it's like that. We want to go to the spiritual world, but we can't take the material world with us. We see in history where so many people had these bodily concept of lives, like the Vikings, when the great Viking chief died, and how did they depart? They put them on a boat with their possessions, right? And they set fire to it and sent them off to Valhalla, and they would take all their wealth and they send them a packed lunch and everything for the journey. But it's a bodily concept of life. The person's already gone. They can't take anything with them. That is the fact of the matter. So whatever we have which is in our possession, use it in Krishna service. You don't have to artificially become poor. You know, if karma is that, you know, you're to be wealthy, then use it in Krishna service. That's all. And remember that Krishna is the proprietor. And if we're poor, that doesn't matter. Whatever we've got, we'll put in Krishna's service. When Sudama Brahman, Sudama Vipra, he had nothing. And his wife said to him, why don't you go and see your old school friend, Krishna? You know, just like some of us become friends who became rich and famous. Someone says, oh, go and see them. They, you know, they makes openings for Krishna consciousness so that they give an donation. And then, you know, I don't want to bother them. So Sudama Brahman was like that. Well, Krishna, he was a great king of Dwarka, prince. And wife saying he's so wealthy, he can give you anything. And he says, no, I don't want to bother Krishna. But somehow or another, she nagged him. And as he was leaving, she put some broken rice in the fold of his dhoti. They were so poor, they actually had to share the cloth. They had to take turns each going outdoors. I don't think anyone here is that poor, are they? Sometimes we complain that we want more, but we've got to stop and just think, okay, there's always someone worse than ourselves, and we have a lot, and whatever we've got is meant for us. That's our quota. So when Sudama went to Dwarka and met Krishna did all those personality of Godhead, then he welcomed Sudama as a Brahmin, and he wanted to offer puja, and Rukmini, Krishna offered arti, etc. And he said, oh, have you brought some gift for me? And he says, no, I haven't brought anything. He says, what's this? And he took it from him. He knew he had something because he's the super soul and he knows everything which is going on. So he says, what is this offering? And Sudama Vipra was so embarrassed, he didn't want to make the offering. He thought, better to offer nothing than offer this broken rice. What does Krishna need broken rice for? But Krishna took the offering and he said, with this offering, the whole universe will become satisfied. So this is Krishna once again reminding us that when we water the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. And Krishna is the root of the tree. So when we satisfy Krishna, everything is satisfied. So we shouldn't think that we're lacking if we don't do some kind of material pious thing. If we're doing something for Krishna, then that is the highest. It's called Para Upakar. It's the highest of our work. Or Sarva Upakar. And then after Krishna took a little sample of this rice, then what happened? Does anyone remember? Someone else took it? Rukmini. She also took some. She says, oh, Krishna, why are you hogging this feast? Give me some. So she took some, and then she benedicted Sudama in such a way that when he went back to his home, then there was palatial surroundings, and there were servants, etc., and so much opulence. But he didn't want it. He wasn't looking for that. He was just happy to see his friend Krishna, and Krishna was happy to see him. So this is the mark of the devotee, that when we have nothing, we're satisfied. And we have everything, we're satisfied. Because we think, well, Krishna is given. With our two hands, if Krishna gives, what can we hold? And with our two hands, if Krishna takes, what can we hold? And we just have to remind ourselves of this, remind each other, because we get caught up, don't we? The age of Kali, the age of forgetfulness. So sometimes we forget we're devotees, and we don't even act like devotees at times, isn't it? And I remember one devotee giving a class many years ago, and he said that when you've come across a situation where you get to choose to act like a devotee or not, remind yourself, no, I'm a devotee. A devotee doesn't act like that. So we're actually reprogramming your mind to think like a devotee. We don't assume some false humility and say, oh, I'm just so fallen, I may as well fall anyway. That's just Maya. But we're trying to be a devotee. And Prabhupada said that the devotee, actual devotee, thinks everyone else is a devotee, but I'm not. I'm just fortunate to be in the association of devotees, and by their mercy, I'll become a devotee. So by this Jesi Sangha Vesi Ranga, by this association, we'll become like that. And this Mahajana Yena Gathasapanta, by following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, then that's the direction going in. Just like now it's threatening to snow, and if it does snow before we come out of the class and you're going down the hill, then you're looking to see, sometimes they say following the footprints of the previous chariots. So you follow exactly in the footprint, but if the next footprint you see the person has slid, then you think, I won't go there. But if someone has traversed that path before and there's no slipping, then you think, okay, these steps, we'll just follow those steps. It's very safe. Playing it safe. Not that, oh, I'll just make my own path and then whoosh, off the path. So the speculation, making your own path and just trying to make a name for herself is very risky. So these are known as the signs of subtle sex life. Maitunya Agra is like considered to be the shackles of the material world. The subtle signs of these things is fame, distinction, adoration, and gain. If we're looking for these things, then these will be distractions on the path. So this is a nice verse here. Naiti Shruti Partha Janan Yogi Muyati Kashchana Asmat Sarvishu Kali Yoga Yukto Bavarjana. Although the devotees know these two paths, so that's the one 6 months in the north and 6 months in the south, these paths, Arjuna, they'll never be ordered, therefore be always fixed in devotion to Krishna. Very succinctly describe it. They don't be bewildered by what happened if I happen to pass away in the 6 months. How can I guarantee I won't pass away in that 6 months? And there's so many other things, not just those 6 months. What if you're doing something else which is inauspicious? So if anyone's ever been to Vrindavan, then you can read the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham, and it's mentioned there that so many considerations where one passes away which is considered inauspicious, like if you happen to fall into a gutter or a sewer and die, that's not very auspicious death. But it says even in Vrindavan, if you die in a sewer, still you go back to God. The holy dam is so pure. And similarly, Krishna consciousness is so pure that even, if we happen to be in such inauspicious surroundings, but if we're Krishna conscious, then that overrides everything materially inauspicious. So Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he shouldn't be disturbed by the different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. A devotee of the Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. Devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna. He should know that concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. And as firstly you hear about that, you think, oh, how can I guarantee? It's very troublesome. There's no guarantee, is there? The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always dovetailed in Krishna's service, and this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and direct. The word yoga yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness in all his activities. Sri Goswami advised Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatar. One should be unattached to material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his path to the Supreme Abode is guaranteed by devotional service. And furthermore, Krishna mentions Vedeshu, Yageshu, Tapashu, Chaiva. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitful activities. So if we're not pursuing karma kanda or jnana yoga, whatever, then we shouldn't think that we're bereft of the benefits of these things, because Krishna says simply by performing devotional service, yoga, param, stanam, piety, chadyam. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches his supreme eternal abode. So therefore, once again, Krishna is saying the same message as he's saying at the end of Bhagavad Gita, that we, whatever religious rites we think we have to do, if we just surrender to him directly, then all these duties are taken care of. Don't have to worry about that. So we don't have to worry that our bad karma is going to catch up on us. We're going to get some reactions, or we neglected something or other. Simply, if we surrender to Krishna, he's saying, you do this and I'll take care of all your other duties, don't worry about that. And if you do that, then Krishna will show you in the course of your life how he's amazingly taking care of all your other duties much better than we ever could. Because even in the course of trying to perform our different duties, we make so many mistakes, or there's so many shortcomings. But once again, when we take shelter of Krishna, then nobody is going to oppose Krishna. It's not like Yamaraj is going to go to Krishna and say, okay, this guy's got a bill to pay. He's the agents of Yamaraj, virtually devotees. So of course we can't just stick to your on and neck beads and think, okay, now I can do any old nonsense I like. Because Prabhupada talks about, religion isn't about rubber stamping. So even we can't rubber stamp ourselves as a Vaishnava. Was it back to Santa Saraswati talks about, or back to Thakur talks about Kali Shela. So we don't just masquerade as a devotee, and but actually we're a disciple of Kali. We have to walk the talk. We have to talk and we have to walk. So sometimes people say, you practice what you preach, but also preaching what you practice. When we share this message of Krishna consciousness with other people, then this is also gaining Krishna's favour. None so dear as one who preaches my glories. So we attract Krishna by this. And at the same time, we have to maintain our own Krishna consciousness. We don't give up that for the sake of giving everything else something, but we're not taking it. Just like the story of the resident of Jagannath Puri, who lived there all these days, and so many pilgrims came and said, oh, what's the Jagannath temple? And said, oh, it's just over there. So he's giving directions to everybody. He says, oh, you're so lucky, you live here, you must be going there every day. So he says, no, I don't go every day, but I can go anytime. And his life passed and didn't go. He could go anytime, but he didn't. That's it. So he was apathetic towards that. And before you know it, the time is gone. Time doesn't stand still, does it? It's passing all the time. And even the babies, they're getting older. Babies don't stay babies, do they? Everyone here was a baby and they grew older day by day. But it's imperceptible. Time is imperceptible. And the interest was Prabhupada talks about this. He was giving a lecture on top of the New York temple. It was like some skyscraper and an open garden. And the devotees typically used to have this competition wherever Prabhupada went. The devotees would try to get so many people to come, important people, so that Prabhupada would stay there longer. Like when Prabhupada was going to the manor, then Shyama Sundar would get like George Harrison to come and visit the manor, and that famous racing driver Graham Hill, and various other philosophers. He was always bringing people there, so Prabhupada would stay longer back to visit the manor. So there was this competition. Whenever Prabhupada went to a temple, they'd always try to get more important people to come and keep him there longer, get his association. So they had these philosophers and scientists and atheists, and Prabhupada was speaking with them. So Prabhupada gave some discourse, and then at the end, one of the scientists spoke up for the rest of them and says, actually, we don't believe in God. And Prabhupada just started laughing. He was just laughing like a child saying, I don't believe 1 and 1 is 2 or something like that. Just laughing, oh, you're only a child. Prabhupada just started laughing, says, you may not believe in God, but that does not mean it does not exist. And for you, God will come as death and take everything away. That is God. And then you can see the faces were changing, because it wasn't just what Prabhupada said, it was just with so much authority, conviction, and realization, and maturity. No doubt whatsoever. When the pure devotee speaks, there's no doubt in his words. So we can also follow in the footsteps of and get the protection of these great devotees by hearing from them regularly. By regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So that means Bhagavatam, or Bhagavatam in person. Prabhupada is known as the person Bhagavat. And we hear from Srila Prabhupada and his bona fide representatives. then we're connected. And we don't have to worry about whether we're going to be situated rightly at this particular time or not, or we shouldn't leave. Just like some people say, oh, we shouldn't even leave India. India is the land of the pious, but it's not quite nowadays, is it? You know, it used to be the sacred cow. Nobody would touch the cow. Even in the Second World War, when the Indian regiments were fighting on the British side, they refused to fight because they actually started lubricating the bullets with cow fat, and they decided, no, we're not fighting, and they couldn't make them. So such was their dedication to cow protection. But nowadays, that's not there so much. In fact, they were competing to be one of the biggest exporters of beef, which is a real Kali Yuga turnaround. But still, because Krishna consciousness is expanding like wildfire in India also. And even the government is also taking some steps towards reintroducing cow protection and dharmic principles. But just like Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said to Srila Prabhupada that India cannot wait for Swaraj. Back in those days, Prabhupada was he was interested in the liberation of India from the British Raj. But his spiritual master says that this message of Bhagavad Gita, this message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to take the holy name to every town and village, cannot wait for some political victory or some political change. Because the cure for all the material ills in this world is not a material cure, it's a spiritual cure. The cause of the material ills is this skin disease. I don't mean eczema or psoriasis or some other dermatitis. Skin disease means we think we're this body. We look in the mirror and we think that's me. I'm so cute, or I'm so ugly, or I'm so average, or whatever we consider ourselves to be, and we're not that. That's simply, if we peel back the skin, right, it's probably not so attractive. Sometimes people get these like facelifts and then they kind of peel back the face and they do various things. It's like, wow, just leave that face open and see how attractive you are. Walk down the street like that. Who's only fancy you? But it's the illusion of Maya is that she, because of our desire to enjoy the material world, then she gives us that illusion. That's what we want. Just like in Buddhism, they say, be careful what you want because you might get it. So if we want some illusion, Krishna will say, okay, Maya, here's one for you. He wants the illusion world. But then if we want Krishna, then Krishna takes many steps towards. Krishna is very keen that we go back to Godhead. Prabhupada says that if you take one step toward Krishna, he'll take 10 toward you. So we just like to encourage everyone to continue taking their steps toward Krishna. Whatever you're doing in Krishna consciousness, if you're chanting the holy names, then continue doing that. And not, then please start it. If you're chanting in a small element, then try to increase it. And keep a balance in your life so you don't imbalance it, because if we try to do too much and we're not capable, but then some things we end up all or nothing. So we have to be steady. And that is, we're the only one who can judge that. We can't judge what anyone else is. Although the Prabhupada did say, engaging devotees, the art of engaging devotees is to bend without breaking. But regarding your own personal responsibility, then regular reading and chanting of Krishna's names, pastimes, etc., then taking prasadam, everything we eat, all that you do, all that you offer and give away should be done in sincerity, done as an offering unto me. So if we do that, we immunize ourselves from the effects of the material world, and we keep safe. You know, if we remain fast in our vigilance to uphold Krishna conscious principles, then Maya cannot touch us. But we should never challenge Maya, just say, look at me, I'm such a good devotee, you can't catch me now. We should never think that. That means you've already in Maya. There was one very senior devotee, actually, he made some challenge against Maya, and when other devotees had this challenge, he thought, oh no, that's really unfortunate, this is the end of him, and it was. So we should never think, because the divine energy of man is very difficult to overcome. When Krishna says very difficult, it means it's not possible. But those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond. Machita Savadurgani Matpradatharishya Tachit Pamahankran Shoshisi Vinanshisi. So if you become conscious of me, Machita, Sarvadurgani, you will cross over all difficulties. Durga means she's imposing difficulties upon the living entity. Matpradatharishya, by my prasad, by my grace, you will cross over all obstacles. Attach Twam Ahankaram, but if through false ego, we don't hear Krishna. So not hearing Krishna means not hearing the message, or even just chanting, we have to hear, we have to continually make an endeavor to hear, not just like, I'm just going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, and we're just on automatic, and our mind is just going down memory lane, or it's on the radar program. We're just going, no, what's happening here? That pitch needs adjusted, and what am I going to do next? I wonder what's for prasadam. And the mouth is going Hare Krishna, but the consciousness is not fixed on Hare Krishna. So therefore, Krishna says, wherever the mind wanders, keep bringing it back. So this is practice, daily practice, day by day by day by day, until, and such another Maharaj says this, we keep on pushing, practice, until it becomes natural. And then it will flow naturally. So this is why we have to keep on putting in effort. If we're lazy about that, then time will pass, and we'll come to the point where we think, well, the Krishna consciousness doesn't work. I've been chanting for 40 years, and I'm still not rolling about in ecstasy. So suitable practice, Krishna talks about detachment and suitable practice. So we do have to detach ourselves from the very things which are inauspicious, and engage in suitable practice regularly with determination. And by doing that, then we're assured of Krishna's protection, and we're assured of a very auspicious end. And we don't even have to wait till the end, we have to experience it now. That Jivan Mukta Suchate, even this body in this lifetime, we get to experience it. And we do get a bit of that, a little taste right sometimes in Kirtan or in Japa. If someone cooks a nice feast, you're not going to be buying that food somewhere in a restaurant, unless you go to a devotee restaurant. So when we're taking prasadam, which has been offered with love and devotion, then often we get people coming to visit the temple, and they think the food is great, and we give them recipe, and they go away, cook it, and say, oh, it looks the same, but it just doesn't taste the same. What's the secret ingredient? And the secret ingredient is love and devotion. At least the devotee's best attempt at that. So we'll just stop there if anyone's got any questions or comments. I have a few minutes, just otherwise we can close. Is that to speak until 1:15, or 25 past? Yes, bro. How do you organize that, and what difficulties till now? So, well, unless this lifetime anyway, I don't know what So yes, there was a group of us actually who used to share different books we were reading, and we became very inquisitive, and there's so much particularly books going around. We were, my own personal thing was I was brought up as a Catholic, so I had some kind of belief in God. And then at a certain time, I thought, well, I don't know if I believe in God or not. I became agnostic. I decided I'm not going to reject God. I'm not going to accept. I'm just going to sit on the fence until I get an idea of whether there is something there. So for a few years, I didn't do anything, about the age of 14, 18. And then one of our friends had joined the Hare Krishna temple some years before, and he sent some books to one of our friends. And when we looked at the books at first, we were kind of laughing at them. We didn't really know whether to take it serious or not. We were looking at the Bhagavad Gita and the pictures of someone naked becomes a tree. We're thinking, how does someone become a tree? When did that ever happen? We've never seen that before. Or how does someone become a bear just because they sleep? So that, so it means if I sleep too much, I'm going to become a bear. We were thinking it was in terms of this life. The next life, all right, okay, next life. So there's another life. And we were already experiencing and considering that this life was not the all in all. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, actually, reading Prabhupada's books, then it actually cut through all the confusion of all the different things we were reading. And that, when I first read Bhagavad Gita, then I thought, well, I'm still reading other things and I want to read other things. Unbeknown to me, then Bhagavad Gita had become a yardstick where everything else is measuring up to. And I remember in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita where Prabhupada says that in Bhagavad Gita you will find all the truths you will find in other religious scriptures. But in Bhagavad Gita you will also find other truths you won't find in other religious scriptures. And I realized this is a fact. That there's no contradiction between the truths of Bhagavad Gita and other religious scriptures, but there's more. And I was familiar with the Bible, so I could see the basic message there. But in Bhagavad Gita, you're saying how to give up this. What is this that you're actually giving up? People talk about being saved. Saved from what? If you ask someone that's been saved, do they even know what they're being saved from? Do they know what is sinful activity? Sinful activity is very clearly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, the four pillars of Dharma. What should be done, what should not be done, pavrittya, nivrittya, what are the divine qualities, what are the demonic qualities. Everything's so very clearly, definitively laid out. So to me it was like I could see truths in other religious literatures. When I read Bhagavad Gita, although the knowledge was so heavy and I was practically like, not so much frightened by it, but I was thinking this is going to require a lot of commitment. I want to try to find something else. So I was looking around, but I thought, no, in my mind, I was knowing, you're going to go back to the Bhagavad Gita. If you don't go back there, you're just going to cover yourself and fool yourself. You're going to regret it later. So by Krishna's mercy, the message of Bhagavad Gita came through to us. I must admit, also a couple of occasions, I was perplexed about certain things, and I just thought I randomly opened the Gita, and Krishna just said exactly what I needed to hear. Happened on a couple of occasions. I realised this is just not a book with words printed on it. This is actually the Supreme Lord himself, personally speaking, who can speak to you and who will tell you exactly what you need to know. So I compared it to other scriptures that I read. It was like the pocket dictionary, and the Bhagavad Gita was like the full unabridged Oxford dictionary with the etymology and everything. And reading Prabhupada's Gita, not just any Gita, but Prabhupada's Gita as it is, it was particularly interesting because Prabhupada shows you how he's translated each and every word. So there's no mistake. He hasn't given his own interpretation. He's just given it as it is. And Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Evam Pampana Praptam, this unbroken chain of succession. This is how it's accepted. It's not that someone comes along and says, well, this is Bhagavad Gita as I think he meant it, or as I think it should be, or whatever. It's as it is. So, and Prabhupada also one should scrutinizingly study these scriptures. So I was scrutinizingly studying them, taking ages to get anywhere with it. But I thought, I want to understand. If I'm going to give my life to this, I want to know that this is true. And couldn't find any fault with it. And I felt that in the midst of the confusion of the various other things I was looking at, then I decided that I'm just going to follow my conscience. And if it comes up with something which is good, I'll follow that and see what it takes me. And as I said that, then something else became apparent. This is your next step. And then I would do that. And then, okay, this is your next step. And when I read Bhagavad Gita, I thought, wow, that's just what I've been thinking. It's just putting into words everything I've been doing. And it was telling me the next step, next step. So when I joined the temple, I didn't really want to join, but I knew I had to. Just like sometimes we hear this and think, oh yeah, but I don't really want to do that. You know, I've got other things I want to do. But if we just do it, we won't regret it. And you can do it in your own circumstances. You don't have to come and join the temple. Some people join the temple, it's better for them. And some people are better at a distance, you know, in their own situation. Whatever, you have to situate it rightly, correctly. Whatever's going to be most favourable for your situation to practice Krishna consciousness. If you've got dependents, for example, then you don't just run and go and join the temple. You know, that's Krishna consciousness can be practiced at home as much as it can be at the temple. You can be in the temple and be in Maya as well, believe it or not. So I hope that's okay. Anything else, or should we close?
What advice would you give to someone who is not living the on and off say visiting? So how can one continue practicing Krishna consciousness at home with their studies, job, family things, and all?
Okay, so my understanding of that is regulation. If we fix some time aside where we do for Krishna every day, if we're very busy with family duties and we don't have much time, at least to find time every day, you can say this time I can read 15 minutes, I can chant 1 round or 2 rounds. So in the course of it, you know, typically we find what's the best excuse, or the worst excuse for people who don't do meditation. Right? People think meditation is going to benefit them, but they don't have time, isn't it? That's always just no time. But if we concentrate our mind, and jap every day, you'll find that, of course, we're not doing it for material benefit, but you'll find that you become more focused, that all the other things you have to do happen easier anyway. You become more organized. An example, one devotee used to live here. He was very, very regulated. He kept a diary of how many rounds he chanted every day, how much he read, how much he slept, etc. He was very vigilant in his practices. And he did leave the temple to study. He went to Glasgow University and he studied maths, physics and astronomy, these 3 things together. And nobody had 50 years studied those things, so he became like a real golden boy in the university. He got a scholarship to do a PhD in Ohio. And what he learned at the temple was discipline. I recently heard a talk by Shiva Maharaj, and he was saying that even in the material world, without discipline, we can't attain anything. You know, if you don't go to school, you don't get your grades, unless you know the boss or the boss's son. And even that, you might not. If you're terrible, you might just, no, I can't take a chance on that guy. He's too much of a rogue. So you put in the effort, and you get the grades, and then you make some. So discipline there has to be some regulation to succeed in anything, and especially, you know, in spiritual life. Also, that's some kind of discipline. So, regardless of what kind of situation we're in, if we just, even we make a date, say, okay, by a month from today, then I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to stop doing that. Because if we just think, okay, I'll leave it to the mind is more favourable, the mind will never be favourable. You just have to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Just like when I joined the temple, we're thinking, should I join the temple? Shouldn't I join the temple? And one devotee, Rohini Nandan, Prabhupada disciple, says, so what are you going to do? You've been on the guest program a few times. So you can't stay a guest forever. You're going to become a devotee or not? Oh, I don't know. And he says, and he was very clever. He says, I think you can do it. And I had such high regard for him. I thought, well, if he thinks I can do it, I'll take the chance. I said, okay, I'll do it then. So I just needed that little push. And that's Krishna's words for all of us. We can do it because the soul is amazing. The soul cannot be burned by fire, moistened by water, withered by wind. It's eternal, undying, primeval, is not slain when the body is slain. So we can do this by the mercy of Krishna. So in terms of practicing at home, they try to fix some time aside where you can do something for Krishna every day. And if for some reason circumstances stop you from doing that, then don't just give up. Just like they say, if you're on a diet and you find yourself gorging on a cake, then don't just give up your diet. Just think, okay, don't go on a guilt trip. You start again tomorrow. So do some regular practice and then try to increase that practice. We have a leaflet which I think is just out there. It's called Bhakti Steps. And that's designed to take you from nothing, from doing nothing in Krishna, to the very basic thing, like at least take a bath once a day. I'm sure everyone's doing that. So that's a start. And then try chanting one round, try reading one of the very easy books, and then just gradually building on that. So regulation is important. So think of a time you can do something for Krishna every day. And actually, we say doing something for Krishna, it's actually for ourselves, it's looking after ourselves. Okay. Anything else, or should we finish? Okay. Iskon Guru Ki, Prabhupada Ki, Shri Bhagavad Gita Ki, Shri Koitama Pichashi Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Jai Prabhupada Prana Prabhu Ki.